Yo guys, what is going on? Coming at you with a special deck profile today. As you can perhaps tell, this is a security control list. I actually piloted this at the store championship today at my local card shop, and I got first place with it. I actually didn't drop a single game. 4 rounds, so my matchups were against two Lord Nightmon players, a black reboot player, and then a black yellow like D Brigade rookie rush. And so shout out to all my opponents. They're all friends of mine, and I know them and stuff. And my buddy Dak, I also actually played him in the finals. He won Nishi Fest a little while ago, so he's a really, really fantastic player. Was playing Lord Nightmon, but I was able to get the win, and I won this store championship promo pack. So that's super cool. But yeah, this is the list I played. This is for the set 5 format. However, going forward in the set 6 format, there aren't too many things I would change. Like the core of it stays the same, but then you just get some new toys to play with. You get Iron Fist, Onslaught, Wyvern's Breath, the Dual Tamers and stuff like that. But as far as the colors and the core strategy goes, it's the same. The colors I think that are the best to run with security control for at least 5 and 6. Set 5 and 6 is yellow, red, and black. And as you'll see here, I'll kind of break it down by color and kind of explain what you need to do in this deck. But it's a super fun deck, very toolboxy, and yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So for the Digi Eggs to start off, I was playing 4 copies of Digimon and then 1 Yokomon for the Digi Eggs. I wanted to play 5 because you're actually Digivolving. In this version of Security Control, you're not just using an egg for the color, though that is, of course, very, very important for this guy because, of course, your opponent is a lot of times going to have more than 5 cards in their trash, so gaining 1,000 off of that is really essential. I'll explain that more when I get to some of the cards, but yeah, the attack boost is actually important. And then this was just another Digimon that you have, like, another attack boost. You can't play Koromon or anything. Those don't really do anything for this deck, but so these were just the 5 best eggs for the red Digi Eggs. And then let's go ahead and start with yellow. So for the first yellow cards, we got the recovery package. So we got 4 copies of Magnadramon. This card is absolutely insane. Just being able to recover 2 and then unload your hand with the Lucimons and stuff is really, really insane. And then, of course, being able to potentially go into a Valdor Arm as well. This card wins you games just by itself. Being able to drop this and just outgrinding your opponent is so essential in this deck. And then, of course, also playing 4 copies of Agumon for the same reason. This is an excellent turn 1 play, and then of course just being able to summon him, get recovery +1. If he dies, that's cool. If he survives, then you can go into your level 6 and 7 plays. So Agumon, I think these 4 copies of each is just absolutely essential in security control, even going forward in the set 6 format. And then 2 copies of Lucimon. I thought this was really nice. I was originally playing 3, but if you draw it early game, this can be a brick, and then unloading it with Magnadramon is really fantastic. That's like the best way to play it. But even late game, if you draw this, it's a 5-cost Magnadramon with 10,000. So it's still really, really fantastic for that reason. And then of course just being able to recover is really nice. And a lot of times late games you'll also start with 5 memory if your opponent is like, you know, if you're outgrinding them, they have to hard play stuff from hands. So being able to like do double Lucimon in a turn is really nice. There was one game where like I had previously played Agumon and then I attacked and then like brought out 1 Lucimon recovery +1 and then brought out another Lucimon without passing turn, and then Gaia forced him his Lord Nightmon away. So this was just absolutely amazing. So that is it for kind of the recovery cards. And then the other yellow cards, playing 1 copy of Sakuyamon. This card, it was really nice in theory, and it still worked out really well. There was one game against my buddy Dak where I just hard played this, and then he had like a War Growlmon coming out, so it basically security attack -3 to whatever's coming out in your opponent's breeding area, so it just prevents you from getting like OTK'd. It's really good against 1-stack decks, again, like against the Black Reboot player. He had the BT5 Black War Greymon that has reboot security attack +1, and then he had the Sunarizamon underneath it, and then the Kapurimon, so security attack +2, and then he had the Metal Gray, so it was gonna check 3 cards. So then I had like a Magna Angemon I had placed, so then I just evolved this, and then like I think he brought it out. I don't remember if he brought it out or not, but like regardless, it wasn't able to do anything, and I was able to get rid of it with the next couple of turns. So that was really nice. And then just 1 copy of Chaosmon Valdorm. I don't think I would play any more than this because a lot of times it's like inconsistent consistent. If you draw this without a level 6, it sucks. If you draw this 6 without this, it's fine. So I don't think you really need more than one. This only, I think I only summoned it like 1 or 2 times, but it's really fantastic, of course, every single time I dropped it. So that is the monsters. And then for the other cards in the yellow package, playing 4 copies of Holy Wave. This is also essential. I don't know if I would continue playing this in BT6, but this was really, really amazing, being able to just anytime your opponent was swinging at your security, you reveal this, and then you basically just, like, they didn't check anything, you get another card in your security. And then if you had TK as well on field, or one of your yellow Digimon, there's lots of times where like my Magna Angemons would survive, and then they would just stick around, and then my opponent wouldn't be able to get rid of them, and then I could just Holy Wave and recover more, because a lot of times your opponents, if they know how to play around this deck, they'll keep you at 4 security while they just build up their board. So then this is nice to be able to like put yourself back at 5 and 6, and like not having to use Magnadramon. So that is those cards. And then the last yellow cards are just 2 copies of TK Takaishi, and he's really fantastic, of course. Just being able to search through your security, get any yellow cards. There weren't any situations where I resolved TK and there weren't yellow cards. So I still think that you're playing at plenty of yellow cards to be able to resolve TK and not like get the -1 security. So 2 is really nice, and then of course playing as a yellow source as well. So that's it for the yellow cards. Now we're getting into the spice. Okay, so for the red cards, I am playing 4 copies of Agumon Expert, okay? This card is low-key like the MVP of this deck. If you guys don't know what this card does, on play, it has the effect of return a Digimon with Agumon from your trash to your hand. It actually says Recycle Bin. I don't know why that's the case. Maybe it's just because this is a really old card. If you guys know why it says that, let me know in the comments, but that thing, that's really interesting. But anyway, so basically, if you have multiple copies of this, what you can do is just like let's say you Digivolve, and then you bring it out, and then you like swing and dies, and then you just play one from your hand and then grab this back, and then you just keep looping them. So you basically have a way to be aggressive in your security control deck, which was one thing I really didn't like about lists that were just playing like the red egg but no Digimon, or this just gives you the ability to recycle more cards, and then just have an infinite loop of Agumons that you can just beat your opponent down with. And then there were a couple of games where I had like all 3 or all 4 in hand, and then I would just like play, add back, and then I would just have like 3 or 4 Agumons on field. But you basically just want to keep 1 in hand at all times. But it was just really, really fantastic. Shout out to my buddy Anthony and Dakota for telling me to like how spicy and amazing this card is, because I completely did not like I didn't realize how big of like value it was. And then also 2 copies of Vorvomon. Again, this card is a card that lets you get value off of your red eggs, and this is a 5,000 level 3, that's 0 to evolve, and then if you've got the Gigimon underneath them, that is a 6,000 level 3. So you can bring this out, swing at security, a lot of times it'll survive, and then this puts like your opponent's Mechanoris and your opponent's like Unimons, the 2 to evolve 6 cost blockers, it puts them in a threshold where like if they block with it, they'll obviously like die, okay? Or basically you can attack if they got the 1 cost blockers, you don't even have to worry about it. So these guys were just really insane like the whole game. I highly recommend playing them, okay? They're fantastic. And then of course for the removal spells, playing 4 copies of Gaia Force. This is pretty standard, just one of the best removal cards in the game. 4 copies of Transcendent Sword. Of course, this is just Gaia Force 2.0, but the unfortunate thing is it doesn't kill like things that have like higher than 11,000. So there was a couple games where like my opponent hit this in security, they had a lower at 9-mon, so I couldn't kill it, so I had to like kill something else on their field. But it's still just like a blow up anything and really good in security. So you definitely want to see it. But of course, Gaia Force is like your best like just instant get rid of something on the field. And then for the last red option cards, playing 2 copies of Heir of Dragons. Guys, I'm telling you, this card is so good, especially early game. Like if you have to go first and this deck does not want to go first, and then you just start with this, put your opponent to 3, and it's a Pot of Greed, you just draw 2. I was never in the scenario where I could resolve the second effect, where if you have a Drummon or a Greymon, you can blow up something with 4,000 or less. So that works with Magnadramon, it works with Machine Dramon, and it's just an overall amazing card. It just being able to have consistency options is really nice in this deck, because you have plenty of removal, but there's some times where you just need to draw cards because you're never you're hardly ever evolving on anything, so you definitely just needed the option. So I think Air of Dragons is a really great card for that. So that is it for the red cards, and then for the black cards, playing 3 copies of Shademon and 1 copy of Mechanori for the blocker package, or for, I guess, a little blocker package you'll see in a bit. But Shademon, I think, is amazing because hitting this in security, there were so many times where my opponent, this was one of the last cards in my security stack, my opponent had lethal on board, and then this would just flip over and announce a blocker, so then they have to deal with it. Or there's a lot of times where I would just be passing back and forth with my opponent, and they have the Memory Tamer on field, so then I'm starting with 3, so I just play this for 6, and then they go back to 3, and then if they are trying to go wide, of course, just having a blocker prevents that, and then Mechanorimon is a blowout against Rookie Rush and just lots of other decks, being able to just unsuspend constantly, being able to block anything with 6,000 or lower. This actually didn't come up too many times today. The one time I had against the D-Brigade player, I just played this and he Spiral Masqueraded it, as you have to do. But it's really nice in theory, especially, of course, if you start with 3, you can just put your opponent to 1 and block their stuff, so that's really nice. And then for the big blockers, playing 1 copy of Machinedramon and 1 copy of Craniumon. Okay, so let me explain these choices. So Machinedramon, I just wanted one of those because I don't think these cards are too fantastic by themselves. I think they're good depending on what you're playing against. Machinedramon is really amazing because being able to de-digivolve 2 things is amazing, because if your opponent's trying to go wide against this deck, but not necessarily playing into Ultimate Flare, you can just get rid of their Megas and then put them back down to weak champions that don't do anything. And then, of course, he's 11,000 blocker. Also helps you make Zwart Defeat. Both these guys do. So if you hard play them and they survive, and then you can make Zwart Defeat the following turn, which came up a lot, actually, especially with Machinedramon. This guy outed a full Lord Nightmon board. He had 2 Lord Nightmons on field and Pulsemon or something, and I just played this, and then both those Lord Nightmons went back to Pidomons and Turimons. So then that's 2 of the 4 Lord Nightmons in his deck that are just I don't have to deal with anymore. So already I've already gotten rid of most of his win conditions. So Machinedramon, I don't know. This card, it's not super good, but as a one-of, I thought it was really fantastic. And then Craniumon, this was more for the mirror match, if I had played against another security control player, which I didn't, or just any red deck that's playing Gaia Force, or any purples, which again I didn't play against, but this is amazing because you can just play this, and then if you're playing against security control, they basically need to double Eden's Javelin it if they're playing Eden's Javelin, or Valdararm it or something, because otherwise they're not getting rid of this. If you just hard play this, they can't Ultimate Flare it, they can't Gaia Force it or anything, and then of course it gives all your other blockers the ability to not be able to be destroyed. So it's just really nice, but it didn't really come up today. But there were a couple times I hard played it just to stall a turn or 2. And then for the last couple of monsters, playing 2 copies of Zwart Defeat. This was honestly really nice. Now, you guys might think I'm being insane, but just hear me out. I was talking to my buddy Dak, who plays security control a lot, and he was telling me that for Zwart Defeat, as crucial as it seems, and I'm definitely don't think for Zwart Defeat is bad, right? But there's so many times where you just draw all your Zwart Defeats instead of them being in security, and this card, as opposed to your Gaia Forces and stuff, if you draw this, you cannot just play it from hand, right? You're never hard playing this, and then you basically need to be in the situation where you have a Craniumon or a Machinedramon, because I think these are the only dudes I can evolve on top of. You literally need to have a situation where you play those guys, it survives a turn, and then you go Zwart Defeat. But it's just much better where playing 2 copies, I saw this in hand a couple times, but even then the most I was going to draw was 2. I was never going to draw 3 or 4, and having a couple in hand is or even just 1, which was most likely, it didn't kill me. Okay, but having them in security was consistent enough even with only 2 copies. There were plenty of times I saw this in security, or I had Izzy and then I stacked it and then recovered it into security. But I honestly think 2 is fine. This card was fantastic all day, just being able to play it off of security for free and then out your opponent's boards, being able to swing over stuff or bait out blockers and kill stuff when it dies is just absolutely amazing. So anyways, that's my rant over 2 Zwart Defeats. You can argue if you don't think that was correct, but it worked for me. And then for the rest of black cards, 3 copies of Izzy Izumi to go with the security. control aspect, because you get basically, you don't care about the fact that they're not black. You just get to stack your cards, and then you can like Magnetramon or Magnet Angemon, and just choose basically between the top 3 cards which ones are you putting on security. So it's just really amazing being able to look at your deck and it's like, okay, well, I have a Magnet Angemon in my hand, let's put the Gaia Force on top and then just play it in pass turn. So it's really amazing that your opponent has to like basically deal with the fact that you know what's going into security. And then of course 4 copies of Ultimate Flare. This card was absolutely insane all day. Played against Rookie Rush, like I said, still against Lord Nightmon is really amazing. Just being able to get rid of 1 big stack, and then if their rookie is 3 or lower, it just dies. So this just clears boards, wins you games, and yeah, I can't say enough good things about this card. Okay, so that is it for the deck list, guys. Let me know what you think of the security control list down in the comments. But I had a lot of fun with it. If you like toolboxy decks, then you will definitely like security control. I'm super excited to build another version of this for the BT6 format. So let me know if you want to see that down in the comments below. But guys, that is going to be the video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.